He's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face.
These guys, I guess they're not capable of shame, but it's so embarrassing. Hey, Elon, let me read you what your buddy Donald Trump said about you before you gave him $100 million. When Elon Musk came to the White House asking me for help on all his many subsidized projects, whether it's electric cars that don't drive long enough, driverless cars that crash, or rocket ships to nowhere, telling me how he was a big Trump fan and a Republican, I could have said, drop to your knees and beg, and he would have done it. And you know what he means by beg, I think, right?
What if I told you Robert De Niro and Jimmy Kimmel just tag-teamed Elon Musk on live TV in a way that had the internet gasping for air? Picture De Niro's signature scowl, Kimmel's razor-sharp wit, and Musk, usually the one dishing out the chaos, caught in a comedic crossfire. From Hollywood jabs to billionaire banter, the takedown was so brutal even Tesla stock might have flinched. Was it a roast, a reckoning, or just late-night TV at its finest? Either way, Musk probably wished he had a SpaceX rocket handy for a quick escape. You need to see this.
Word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
It was the kind of live TV moment that makes you question whether you accidentally switched to an HBO roast. 1 minute, the audience was settling in for the usual banter, and the next, Robert De Niro and Jimmy Kimmel were tag-teaming Elon Musk like they'd been waiting for this moment their entire lives. The world's richest man, a self-proclaimed genius with a Twitter addiction, found himself in the crosshairs of two of Hollywood's sharpest tongues. And let's just say, not even a SpaceX rocket could have saved him from what was coming.
Like this weekend, a young guy came up to me, very nice guy. He said, "You got no love for Elon, bro?" And I was like, I said, "No, I don't, but it's not just Elon specifically. I have a problem with any richest man in the world who comes to this country to casually slander a doctor who devoted his entire life to protecting our children from HIV and COVID and Zika and swine flu and Ebola disease while you're off playing grab ass with Trump and firing rockets into space to prove your penis works."
De Niro, ever the cinematic heavyweight, didn't need cheap jokes. He went full mafia boss who's had enough mode. The man has spent decades perfecting the art of the withering stare, and now he was using it to burn a hole through Musk's billionaire bravado. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Instead, he let every syllable land like a carefully placed jab to the ribs. There was no need for exaggeration because the facts did all the talking. Musk's erratic social media rants, his questionable business moves, and his apparent belief that he's a cross between Tony Stark and an ancient philosopher.
The idea to be bullied at my age by someone like this is not happening.
I'm pretty sure you were never bullied.
No, there was a kid sometime this, that, but the point is not, and for the country, no.
And then there was Kimmel. If De Niro was the seasoned warrior dealing out slow, precise cuts, Kimmel was the gleeful prankster who had just been handed the ultimate comedy goldmine. There's nothing comedians love more than a tech billionaire with a god complex, and Musk, bless his meme-loving heart, walked straight into it. Kimmel wasted no time poking fun at Musk's ever-growing collection of lawsuits, half-baked social experiments, and, of course, his ability to turn any serious conversation into a bizarre sci-fi monologue about colonizing Mars.
Last night I shared some of my thoughts and feelings about what happened and how much I'm going to miss democracy and whatnot. And I heard from a lot of people about it, but none more prominent than the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who this morning tweeted, "Kimmel is an insufferable nonsense propaganda puppet," which at least my children like me, you know, it's... I have to take issue with that. The guy who paid people $1 million a day to vote for Donald Trump is calling me a propaganda puppet. Listen, Kermit, you bought Twitter. You bought a social media platform that is literally a propaganda machine. Let me tell you something. If I spent 2 weeks trying to come up with a 4-word description of Elon Musk, I don't think I could do better than insufferable nonsense propaganda puppet.
The audience was howling, and Musk? Well, let's just say, for someone who loves a good internet feud, he suddenly looked like he was reconsidering his entire life's work. It wasn't just about the jabs, though. This was a battle of influence. Musk has spent years shaping his image as the eccentric genius, the misunderstood billionaire who's just trying to save the world. But when two Hollywood titans, one an Oscar-winning legend, the other a late-night assassin with an army of viewers, decide to take you down a peg, suddenly the invincibility starts to crack. By the time the dust settled, Musk's usual quick comebacks were nowhere to be found. Maybe he was plotting his revenge on X. Maybe he was recalculating his public persona. Or maybe, just maybe, for the first time in a long time, he realized that not every battle can be won with memes and bravado. Sometimes, even billionaires get roasted. De Niro, as anyone who's seen his movies knows, is not a man you want to mess with. The guy spent decades perfecting the art of looking at someone like they're a cockroach in his soup. And it wasn't just some random annoyance that set De Niro off. Oh no, this was personal.
What do you think that in 75 years' time, people are going to look back at 2025 America? What do you think that their reflections are going to be on this time?
God knows. God knows. It's a good question. I just don't know. I couldn't imagine. I mean, it'll be something.
Musk has become the poster child for everything that drives Hollywood nuts. The Twitter rants, the public political musings, the faux intellectualism. Let's face it, Musk has made himself a target. You can't parade around like the love child of Tony Stark and a Silicon Valley guru, constantly spinning out memes and taking shots at people without someone eventually calling you out. Then De Niro, who, let's just say, has opinions. In recent years, De Niro's been vocal about the state of the world, particularly the unchecked power of tech moguls. You know, the kind of moguls who think that changing the world means throwing a ton of cash at a project and tweeting their way into the headlines. Musk, with his Twitter Our X takeover, absurd political endorsements, and tendency to stir the pot like a man-child on a sugar high, had become a walking target. De Niro wasn't going to just let that slide. Not on his watch. The buildup was like watching a slow-burn fuse get closer to an explosion. De Niro had seen enough of Musk's antics, whether it was the bizarre Twitter fights or his relentless pursuit of being the loudest person in the room, and it had clearly started to grind his gears.
This guy, the New York Times is propaganda, the Washington Post is propaganda, the Atlantic is propaganda, NPR is propaganda, AP stands for Associated Propaganda. Good one, Broseph. Everything is propaganda to Elon Musk. But what sucks for me is for the last 6 months, I've been working on a project, and I was hoping to announce it in January when Trump takes office. But since the cat is now out of the bag, well, here it is, my new show. Insufferable nonsense propaganda puppet! And now the surprise is ruined thanks to Elon Musk.
Let's not forget, De Niro has been around long enough to witness how power plays out in the public eye. He's seen firsthand how influential figures can shape narratives, for better or worse. And it was pretty clear that Musk had been running around with little regard for how his words and actions affected the larger world. You could almost feel the energy shift in the room before De Niro spoke. Like a lion that had finally caught sight of its prey, he wasn't interested in playing nice. De Niro wasn't about to let Musk glide through this with his usual cavalier attitude. This wasn't going to be some polite Hollywood interview. No, this was going to be a reckoning, where Musk's techie bravado would meet the cold, hard reality of someone who's been delivering lines like, "You talking to me?" for decades. And the audience knew it. They could feel that De Niro wasn't just here to chat. He was here to settle a score. Whether it was the oddball political endorsements Musk tossed out on social media or his "I'm richer than you" complex, De Niro had a front row seat to all of it, and he wasn't about to let it go unchecked. When De Niro finally opened his mouth, it wasn't just a comment. It was like he'd been holding back a rant that had been brewing for years.
I hate bullies, thugs who use their strength to push other people around. They think they can achieve power and hang on to it by intimidating others. Sadly, sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't.
It was the kind of blunt, unfiltered outburst that could have come straight out of one of his classic movies. Picture this. De Niro leaning in with that trademark squint of his, like he was about to deliver a line that would make the whole room collectively whisper, "Oh, he did not just say that." And trust me, he did. It wasn't some generic jab. Oh no, this was surgical. Musk wasn't just another celebrity caught in the crossfire. He was the target, square in De Niro's sights. And De Niro wasn't pulling any punches. It was the kind of cold, cutting remark that makes you question your entire existence. One minute, Musk probably thought he was invincible. After all, the guy has the wealth, the tech empire, and a Twitter X following so strong it could power a small country. But here's the thing. De Niro wasn't impressed. Not by the tweets, not by the space explorations, and definitely not by the "I'm changing the world with my genius" narrative that Musk loves to peddle. He didn't need to scream or yell to make his point. De Niro didn't even raise his voice, and yet every word was a bomb dropped in a room full of stunned silence. It was like watching the coolest guy in the room take down a walking ego with nothing but pure, unadulterated disdain. The power of his delivery was all in the restraint, like a pit bull that doesn't need to bark, because it knows you'll be too scared to move.
When I, about 5-6 years ago, I'm down at the Spring Studios, I said, what just happened, just happened. No, it didn't. Didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place.
And yes, there was definitely a hint of his iconic tough guy persona in there. De Niro has spent years perfecting the art of playing characters who don't care what anyone thinks, and now he was living that out in real life. The guy's been an intimidating force in Hollywood for decades, so when he takes on a billionaire like Musk, it's like watching someone who's been in 100 street fights finally step into the ring with someone who thinks they're untouchable. De Niro was having none of it. What's even more interesting was how De Niro didn't just throw a punch at Musk for fun. No, he questioned his very essence. It wasn't just about Musk's public persona or his wealth. No, De Niro was digging deeper, questioning Musk's ethics, leadership, and cultural influence. Was this really the kind of person who should be shaping the future of technology and social media? De Niro wasn't buying the innovative genius narrative. Instead, he raised eyebrows and made the audience wonder if the emperor had no clothes, or in Musk's case, no moral compass. It was the kind of takedown that leaves you thinking long after the moment passes. De Niro didn't just call out Musk. He questioned whether Musk's influence on the world was truly for the better, or if he was just another billionaire playing God with a keyboard. It was subtle, it was calculated, and it was absolutely brutal.
Do you think he pretends to be dumber than he is to confuse people and make them think? No, you think he's...
No, I don't think so.
Why you would guess that there's a big group of people in this country who believe that he cares about them?
I am totally dumbfounded, baffled by that. I can't understand it. And it's a thing that we've seen over decades and decades. And he is a malignant narcissist. He's a sociopsychopath.
De Niro made sure Musk knew exactly how many people weren't buying the show. And somehow it was even more effective because it wasn't just criticism. It was the cold, hard truth wrapped in De Niro's signature bite. While De Niro was playing the role of the seasoned tough guy, Jimmy Kimmel stepped into the ring like a comedic assassin. Sharp, precise, and absolutely lethal with a mic in his hand. Kimmel's history with Musk was practically a comedy script in itself. It's not that Kimmel didn't respect Musk's genius, probably, but the man has an innate talent for turning even the most serious, self-important figures into the butt of a joke. And Musk, with his love for making public spectacles out of his personal meltdowns, was practically begging for it. Kimmel's genius is in how he dissects these personalities, poking fun at their pretensions while still keeping things light. When you can mock someone's billion-dollar empire, their public feuds, and their sci-fi grandiosity without skipping a beat, you know you're doing something right. This time, Kimmel didn't hold back. He had the perfect setup, with Musk sitting there like the world's richest piñata, just waiting for someone to swing. Kimmel casually slid into his roast mode, making snide remarks about Musk's most recent Twitter disaster, how he somehow managed to turn an entire platform into a meme factory. And of course, his frequent habit of treating every political issue like it's an episode of Black Mirror.
Trump cabinet officials who've privately, very privately, been expressing frustration with Elon Musk, but when they were all together in a room and a reporter asked them about that, no one had a thing to say.
If you had heard otherwise, and if you had heard anything about members of the cabinet who weren't happy with the way things were going.
Let the cabinet speak just for a second. Is anybody unhappy with Elon? If you are, well, throw them out of here. Is anybody unhappy?
What an adorable group of eunuchs. Look at the... By the way, let's watch the end of the video again, because watch Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio might be the only semi-normal person. He's like, oh, one clap.
It was like Kimmel had been training for this moment for years. He didn't just go after Musk's actions. He went after the very idea of Musk as a self-proclaimed messiah of the tech world. And you could almost see Musk wincing under the weight of it all. Kimmel had him on the ropes, and every joke that landed was like another jab at Musk's inflated sense of invincibility. It wasn't just funny, it was like watching a master at work. Kimmel's comedy wasn't just a few playful jabs, it was a full-on roast, and Musk had walked straight into it like a deer to the slaughterhouse. From the moment Kimmel took the stage, you could feel the crowd brace for impact, and he didn't disappoint. The man has a gift for turning Musk's quirks into stand-up gold, mixing sharp observations with the kind of irony that leaves you wondering if Musk's PR team was secretly rooting for Kimmel. First off, Kimmel dove straight into Musk's erratic Twitter behavior. He didn't just touch on it lightly. He dissected it like a surgeon, showing how Musk's social media presence had become the digital equivalent of a dumpster fire. But Kimmel wasn't done. He seamlessly shifted to Musk's business ventures, particularly his latest forays into new technologies and controversial decisions.
With another diabolical genius.
I just talked to Elon on the way here. We've got the best technical minds looking at how this happened, but I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists.
Now Elon's their IT guy. Anytime something goes wrong, it's like, Elon, will you look at this? I don't know what happened. This paranoid, hysterical liar is our national security advisor. Are we supposed to believe this story? I mean, even Laura Ingraham had a hard time protecting.
One of his best lines hit Musk's obsession with making headlines in the most unpredictable ways. Kimmel's impersonation of Musk was the cherry on top. He didn't just mock his actions, he became him. With a low, exaggerated voice and a dramatic flair, Kimmel mimicked Musk's habit of speaking like he's revealing the secrets of the universe, but with all the charisma of a guy who's just learned how to tie his shoes. The impersonation was a masterstroke. Every time Kimmel did his Musk voice, it was like exposing the absurdity of a guy who thinks announcing that he's going to colonize Mars is just as natural as posting a cat meme. And the contradictions? Kimmel was all over them like a hawk. He pointed out how Musk could tweet about saving the planet and then, 5 minutes later, talk about how he's too busy flying private jets to care about Earth. Kimmel's deadpan delivery made it clear. The contradictions weren't just funny, they were obvious. Every punchline had a sting, but it wasn't just about the laughs. Kimmel was dismantling Musk's carefully constructed public image one zinger at a time, and Musk, for once, was powerless to stop it. The execution was flawless. Musk had no choice but to sit there, take it, and wonder why he couldn't tweet his way out of this one. Musk's reaction was the stuff of legends, or at least awkward TV moments.
Knees and beg, and he would have done it. And you know what he means by beg, I think, right? But I'm sure you guys will be great together now that you're... I'm sure his little hand will fit nicely in your sock hole. You know, at the White House today, the whole country is a fire festival right now, and Elon Musk is soaking the mattresses. It is so much worse than I think anyone imagined it might be. Elon and his musketeers, you probably heard, they sent an email to all federal employees ordering them to list 5 things they did at work last week. Trump loved this idea. He said it was genius, and he said anyone who didn't respond to the email would be fired or semi-fired, which, what if that was his catchphrase on The Apprentice? Meatloaf, you're fired.
And the internet? Oh, the internet was ready. Memes popped up faster than you can say Elon's new meme strategy, and debates raged across every corner of social media. Was Musk too sensitive to handle a little late-night ribbing? So, who really won here? Musk? Well, he sure didn't look like the victim, but he definitely wasn't looking like the king of the world either. De Niro's gravitas and Kimmel's humor combined into a 1-2 punch that left him looking less like a tech mogul and more like a guy who realized too late that he might have misjudged the room. De Niro's cold precision and Kimmel's savage wit hit Musk where it hurt the most: his inflated public image. Was this just entertainment? Nah, it was a reminder that no matter how much you tweet, you can't escape the power of a good roast.